Welcome to my channel, everyone. Today I'm going to make a really favorite from many years ago. I'm not going to make the recipe from this adorable little cookbook that I grew up with. The copyright for this cookbook is 1957. I grew up in the 1960s and my mom bought us this one. This is how long I've had this book, for many years. And I found this one at a yard sale. But this is the original one that my mom bought us, and it's called Betty Crocker's Cookbook for Boys and Girls. So there's a cinnamon roll recipe in here that is very simple, and I've made it all my life. I made it as a young child growing up. I made it in high school. I made it as I became a young adult. And it's made with Buscuit, so it's very simple. Now, the one I'm going to make today, the cinnamon roll recipe, cinnamon biscuit roll recipe, is very similar to the one I grew up with, only I'm going to make the dough from scratch. But I just wanted to show you this because it reminds me of this. It wasn't called a biscuit cinnamon roll, but that's pretty much what it is. So I think you'll really enjoy this. And these are the finished cinnamon rolls. And they look just like the ones that I made as a child growing up. I always made them small like this. And this recipe made 13 little biscuits, biscuit cinnamon rolls. Now, a lot of people make this and they make it like a 6 by 12 inch size, and then they make them real fat, like 4 of them. But I like them a little thinner, and so I roll the dough out a little more and I make more cinnamon rolls. So I hope you enjoy this recipe. It is a favorite. Thank you. Okay, we're going to begin with making our dough. So you want to put a cup of all-purpose flour in a bowl. You want to put 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/8 a teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt in with that. Then you're going to put 2 tablespoons of, kind of soft butter, but not completely softened. And then you want to put 1/2 cup of buttermilk. And then you can take your dough hook and mix everything together with a mixer, or you could do it by hand. Try using this dough hook that Glow from Glow's Kindred Kitchen has told me about for a long time. This one's for you, Glow. I bought this about a month ago, and this is the first time I've used it, and I can see how awesome this is. Thank you, Glow, for telling me about this dough hook. So it's already pretty much come together, and you don't want it to be over mixed. So I'm going to take this out, flour my board, and I'll be right back. So you want to flour your board, and you want to roll this out to about a 12 by 6 inch rectangle. And this is going to make either 4 good-sized cinnamon rolls, or you can cut them thinner and make them thinner. So I'm going to continue rolling this so I get a rectangle, and I will be back. Here is our dough, and so this is a little longer than 12 inches and a little, probably about 7 or 8 inches, and it doesn't matter however you want. I'm going to actually end up with more because I'm going to make mine thin. Now for the filling, which is what we're going to place here over the dough, we're going to put 1/8 a cup of brown sugar, and I use the light brown sugar, a tablespoon of white sugar, and 3/4 cup of, 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And what we're going to do is we're going to melt some butter on the stove. We're going to melt 2 tablespoons of butter, and then we're going to mix this in with the butter, and that is what's going to go here. So we'll be back. You want to melt your butter on low. Okay, now you want to pour your melted butter in. And preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're going to mix this together. And this is the cinnamon filling that is going to go on our dough. So now we're going to place it on our dough. Okay, you just want to spread this evenly as much as you can. You can use a spatula, whatever you want to use. And I did roll this out a little more than what the recipe calls for, but that's okay. You could add more cinnamon filling if you want. I don't like real doughy bread, so I initially was going to do it smaller, but I decided I like it just like this, where it's rolled out a little thinner than the recipe calls for. So I'm going to continue kind of spreading this around. Now you're going to take the edge and you're going to roll it horizontally like this. You're going to roll it all the way up, just like this. And you can kind of close the seam here, just like this. Okay, and now what we're going to do is you can either have large ones or smaller ones, and I've always done smaller. So we're just going to cut them. I'm going to make little ones, and some people like to make them real, make it fatter and make like maybe 4, but I like to make small ones. I always have. So I'm using a bread knife with a serrated edge. It makes it easier to cut through the dough. And then I'm going to place this on a cookie sheet on top of parchment paper. Okay, here they are. I'm going to put them in the oven for 15 minutes at 450 degrees. There they go on the middle rack. These baked 10 minutes at 450 degrees in my gas oven, and they look perfect to me because I love golden. So now we're going to make a glaze for them. The very last step is we're going to make an icing. So this icing comes with 1/4 cup of powdered sugar, and you're going to have like a 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla. That's a little more, and a splash of water. Now you could use milk if you want. I'm not. And this is just going to make an icing to pour over the cinnamon rolls. I did put a little more vanilla than I actually should have. That's why it's not real white. It's kind of a little golden, but that's fine. So I did this in a little creamer with a spout, so it would be easy to kind of just drizzle over the cinnamon rolls. So here I am going. You can do this when they're hot or when they're cooled off. These have been cooling probably about 20 minutes. It really doesn't matter when you do it. But it's just a very mild icing. It's not real thick. You could do a thicker one if you want. So here we go. Now we're going to have to give them a taste. Okay, here we go. Let's give them a taste. These are delicious. They taste so much like the ones I made for my childhood cookbook. The only difference is I made my own Buscuit, so to speak. I made my own dough, and the one in the book just uses Buscuit, but they taste very similar, and these are absolutely heartwarming. This is a perfect dessert to have in the wintertime or the fall, and they're very comforting. They're just absolutely delicious. You can make a thicker icing if you want. You can use milk or whipping cream. I just did a very light drizzle. So if you give these a try, please let me know how you like them. Thank you everyone for watching. I really appreciate it.